Now that your shutters are painted or stained, it's now time for the assembly. The first thing we do is to remove the masking tape that we put on there and to reveal the number and to know that there's no additional paint on there to ensure that will in fact fit back in here. We then take our glue that we've provided, just a thin stripe on either side, and you'll know that that's lining up the numbers. That will of course fit back in there beautifully. We then just slide that shutter back and then we select our screws. Now the screws with all the holes are already there, so it's just a matter of putting those in. It can be easily done with a manual screwdriver, or if you have the capabilities and a battery screwdriver, you can just slip it in. There's no need to countersink these because the timber's soft and the screws are very coarse, so they will pull in themselves quite easily. And even with the manual screwdriver, it certainly takes a little longer, but it's far safer, because if you're not familiar with a battery screwdriver, you can do all sorts of damage, like dropping off the screw, taking a chunk out of the stile, or in the worst scenario, just keep on screwing and screwing, and the screw will continue to go in deeper and deeper, which will only damage the shutter. So having done that, we repeat the process for the top, taking the tape off once again, revealing the number. That will slot in there, the screwdriver. I shall use the battery drill once again just to save time on this instance. That goes in there. Now, next process would be to grab our timber, and they're just purely to sit either side, just to support that. So just prior to that, we need to put in our plastic pins, our pivot pins. So if you've got numerous shutters, feel free to lay them all out at once. It's quite simple to do all in the one time. And just push those in willy-nilly, because we'll come back with the rubber hammer shortly and tap those right down, so that the more there is to do, the quicker they are to do all at once. So that's all they've got to do at this stage, is just start in the hole, because they are too hard to push in by hand all the way. And you'll notice there's a flange on these. That's where we'll be knocking them down to. Just no further. We shall explain that shortly. In another 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, and the one we've been waiting for, number 4. Now our rubber hammer, and all we want to do is just tap them down gently. We certainly don't want to depress them into the timber. It's all quite light and simple. It's a good test at this stage just to ensure that you haven't got too much paint in the holes, because you'll find that that's not a good thing. So it does pay to just check your holes prior to putting these in, but you'll soon know if there's too much paint, because you'll have all sorts of trouble trying to get them in. Right, having done that, we can remove our pins. We put that one aside. We'll get to that shortly. Our block back there, just to give some support.